Hello Flosstube, welcome to Bumble Stitches. My name's Nicola and this is my Flosstube channel where I share my stitchy and quilty things that I get up to with you, normally once every couple of weeks. So welcome back. Today is Sunday the 23rd of May and it is episode 16 of my Flosstube. So I hope you've all been keeping well since I saw you last. That was 2 weeks ago. And welcome back if you're a returning viewer, and if you are a new subscriber, because the subscriber numbers do keep growing. So a very warm welcome to you if you're checking my channel out for the first time today. Well, it's actually a dry day today here in the UK. Well, I can't say the whole of the UK, but certainly here on the east coast of England in Suffolk where I live, it's actually dry. It's a little bit breezy, but we have had the most wet couple of weeks I think we've ever seen in May. It's been absolutely torrential. Good for the garden, of course, and my front lawn is now way overdue a cut. And I probably should have done that today, but I thought I'd get my priorities right and record this video instead. But yes, the garden is starting to come to life. I've got lots of things, seedlings that I planted that need to go out into the garden, sweet peas and zinnias and things like that. So I'm looking forward to getting that done. Hopefully if the weather stays dry a little bit next week, I can get some of those jobs ticked off my list. As you know, if you're a returning viewer, I've recently gone back to work after quite a long hiatus, mostly due to COVID. Obviously we've been on lockdown and so forth, and I'm starting to settle into a routine a little bit more now, which is yeah, I'm very pleased about that, because I was getting a bit panicky on how I was going to get everything done. Because I'd been at home for such a long time, you find your own routine, don't you? New routines of day-to-day life, and going back to work seemed like a massive change for me. But the people that I work with are absolutely fantastic. I've got some really good colleagues, and hopefully will become sort of good friends in time, and even some of them get up to some crafty hobbies and pursuits as well. So I'm with like-minded people, and it's made the transition from being at home all the time to being back in full-time work much easier than it could have done if they weren't such lovely people to work for. So that's what's really been going on for the last couple of weeks with me, trying to stay dry with all the rain, and obviously getting up to speed with my new job, and trying to find that balance between getting home from work, cooking dinner, all those sort of things that you have to do, your chores, laundry and housework and such, and then finding time to get my stitching and quilting and things like that done. And yes, I have got a lot less done than I would normally, but I'm accepting the fact now that it's the new normal for me, and I will just take things as they come, I think is the best way to approach it, and just get done what I can, not set deadlines, and just enjoy everything that I'm making. I do have a few little things that I can share with you today, and as I said, I might just do Flosstubes a little bit sort of as and when. If I've got lots of things I want to share with you, then I'll pop on, and it might be a little bit of a gap between the episodes, but I'm sure you'll all understand how it is, because most of us, let's face it, unless we're retired or very lucky, are in that position too. So yes, but let's move along with some stitching, shall we? Now, as you're all aware, it's May, and Stitch Mania has been sweeping the whole of cross stitch land, and I was doing Laurie Holt Maynia, and I've got a few little bits done, so I'll share them with you now. I haven't, as I said, I haven't achieved as much as I'd planned, but it's fine, and what I have achieved I'm pleased with. So I'm going to start with my Prim stitch series. Excuse me, just getting organised. That lives in my little Union Jack bag, and I've been working on part number, I think it's number 6, which is Home and Hearth, and I was on that one last time I shared it. There's not a huge amount of progress, but I will show it to you anyway. So as you can see, I've got a little bit of work done on the house here, but what I really need to do is get some more of these borders extended down so that I can be ready to start the next row. And I think I might make this one of my sort of, I've decided it might be best to do a couple of focus pieces rather than flip between projects so much. Try and get a couple of good lots of stitching done on a couple of chosen projects for the next couple of weeks to get a move on with them, because I am so far behind with this now. I just received part 11 in the post, 11 out of the 12, so lots of people are going to be finishing theirs up and I'm not even halfway done. And although it's not a race, I really would like to get a move on with this one. So I'll get some more borders done, finish off this block, and then once I'm past the halfway mark, I think I'll feel quite a bit better about it. This is all being stitched in the called for Orifloss, and it's on a 25 count Lugana. And my plan for when this is complete is to make it into a wall hanging. I plan to make a quilted, like a patchwork border, just squares, to go around the edge, probably using some of my Laurie Holt Flea Market fabric, and put some backing and batting in between. And I've got some cute little buttons that I'm going to sort of put like a tide quilt. I'm just going to put some buttons at the intersection to hold it down and make it into like a wall hanging. So I think that will look really cute. So that is my Prim Stitch series, part of my Laurie Holt Maynia, and I don't tire of this project. I really love it. It's a nice stitch, and being 25 count Lugana, even when I'm a little bit tired in the evenings, I find that I can stitch on that one quite easily. So let's pop you down there. The next of my Stitch Mania projects is living in my Flea Market cheetah print bag that I made. I shared that last week, and I put the little charm on, which is also from the Flea Market range. And it's Flea Market flowers living inside here. So here's the pattern, absolutely gorgeous. There is going to be a stitch along run by Fat Quarter Shop. I think it starts at the beginning of June, but I decided to start mine as part of my Laurie Holt Stitch Mania. And I have a small start. It is a small start. There is a deceptive amount of stitching in this project. Let me just pop this on my little board so I can show you my little tiny start. This is some fabric that I hand dyed myself. Has got a few little splodges, but I'm not too worried about that. But you can see I've just made a start there on the border and the first flower. And if I can find the chart again so that you can see. So yeah, so I've just made a start on this one here, but there is a lot of stitching here, quite stitch heavy in those flowers. And this is a 32 count Murano. As I said, I hand dyed this myself, and I'm really liking the look of it so far. I'm doing 2 strands over two on the 32 count, so it's quite puffy. I don't know if the camera's picking it up. It's a really good coverage, and I'm using all the called for colours, which I will just show you if I can grab them, which are DMC. So it's all called for DMC, and you can see the colours are just beautiful. So that's Flea Market flowers, and again, yes, I need to get on with it, but I think it's going to look stunning when it's all complete. So I'll pop this one back in its bag and move on to my next project. This one's in the strawberry bag. I know I show you these every time, but not everyone's seen them, so hopefully you don't mind seeing them again. And the next project as part of my Stitch Mania has been the stitch cards by Laurie Holt. This is set H, which is the farmyard, what's it called? Oh, it's not called anything, it's just called set H, and of course it's got the happy horse, the milk cow, the woolly sheep and penny pig. Hopefully that's not glaring too much there. And as I've said before, these stitch cards are absolutely perfect if you're a beginner, because you get quite, you know, not instant gratification, but they don't take too long to stitch up, and they lend themselves very, very well to if you're starting out and you want to stitch on Ada or even weave or linen. They look pretty on everything. So I'd completed the Moo Cow last episode, and I have done the Happy Horse, and he's so cute. Really, really love him with his little gingham blanket and his bucket of oats or whatever it is, pony kibble or whatever. I don't know what horses eat, but I'm sure it's something delicious in there. So those will eventually be little pillows. And I've been taking this along to work in my lunch. For doing in my lunch break, I tend to take a sandwich with me for lunch, and there's a really nice spot about 5 minutes from our office down in one of the villages where there's a really nice peaceful, it's just by a churchyard, and it's beautiful. The birds are singing, it's been lovely. So I've been sitting there over lunchtime, eat my lunch and do a little bit of stitching, which has been really, really nice. So I've made a little start. As you can see, this is still in the hoop, and with a little wonder clip thing on to keep the fabric out of the way, and I've made a start on the woolly sheep. So perfect, just to get a few stitches on at lunchtime, and that's been working quite well for me. So that is my stitch mania and how I've been progressing. And of course, May's nearly over, but I shall carry on with all of those. And as I said, Prim I will probably make sort of like a focus piece to try and get a little bit more done on that one. Okay, I will just check my notes because I want to make sure I cover everything for you today. One thing I did want to mention is, I'm not sure if you've already seen it, but the lovely Becca of Sambury Stitches, I'll put her details down below. She contacted me a little while ago and asked me if I wanted to be included in her interview with the Flosstuber series. And if you haven't seen them, Becca's done a fantastic job of interviewing lots and lots of different Flosstubers, some that you will almost certainly have heard of and some that you may not have done, that could be new discoveries for you. So when she asked me, I was absolutely delighted, and we did a Zoom chat and had a really good time. It was just like having a chat with a stitchy friend. And that video went up on Becca's channel last weekend. I'll put a link down below, and if you haven't seen it, do go along and check it out. And also don't forget to subscribe to Becca's channel, because she does do lots of those videos as well as regular Flosstubes and other videos, so it's well worth checking that out, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, I am whizzing along now, aren't I? I don't think this is going to be a very long video today. But that's okay, because then that will give you all time to get on and catch up with some other Flosstubes. I mean, I am so far behind with all the Flosstubers that I normally watch on a weekly or however often they put videos up sort of basis. So yes, I know what it's like to be behind, so I'm not going to keep you all too long today. But I would like to share some giveaways with you this episode. We didn't have any last episode, but the lovely people at Fat Quarter Shop have once again generously sent some beautiful patterns, and I have got 4 patterns here, and 3 I'm going to be giving away to some lucky winners today. So let's have a look at what they sent me. The first one is Peppermint Lane, and this is so pretty. Now this one I'm not going to be giving away. I'm going to be cheeky and keep this one for myself, because I think it'd be a really nice stitch to do in July as part of a Christmas in July or Jolly July kind of theme. And I have a plan for this one, and I think I'm going to change the fabric from white. They recommend an antique white 16 count Ada by Holt, but I think I'm going to change it to an aqua. I've got an aqua Murano that's got sort of like white splashes on, which looks a little bit like snow. So I think I might change up some of the colours. Obviously I'd have to change these little gingerbread guys and some of the aquas because they wouldn't show up, but I think it might be quite fun to have a little play around with the colour palette on that and pop it onto some aqua fabric. So I'm quite excited about stitching that one. But it is available now if you fancy having a go at it yourself, and I do believe there's going to be a stitch along. I don't know when it's going to start, I'd need to check, but I'm pretty sure I heard on Fat Quarter Shop Flosstube that there will be a stitch along for this pattern. It uses all DMC, so really accessible for everybody, no fancy floss involved. So that is Peppermint Lane. Okay, I'm just going to grab a really quick drink because I've been talking quite quickly today. And you can see the birds are really busy behind me today. There's been lots of activity on the feeders. I saw a little robin earlier feeding the teeny tiniest little robin baby. Well, it couldn't have been that young because it had a bit of a red breast already, so, but yeah, feeding it on the fence, which was really quite cute. Okay, on with the rest of the giveaways. The next pattern is a quilt pattern, and this is the On a Winter's Day quilt pattern. Again, all these patterns are published by It's So Emma, and this one gives directions or size for a crib, which is 46 by 46 inches square, the lap size, which is 72.5 by 72.5 inches, or a queen size, which is a massive 97 by 97 inches. And they give you all the fabric requirements on the back for those sizes. So if you like the look of this quilt, and who wouldn't, it's stunning, and I like the colourways they've used as well, very reminiscent of Laurie Holt's current red and white quilt along that she's doing. So if you'd like a chance to win this, and these are open internationally, you can be anywhere in the world, and I'll be quite happy to send them to you. Please use the word winter in your comment. The next pattern is a cross stitch pattern, and this is the fresh cut cross stitch pattern, and this was part of their Stitch Quarterly Club, but now the pattern is released on its own. So this uses actually they chart it for Cosmo thread, but I'm sure you could easily use some DMC for those greens, aqua and reds, because there are only 1, 2, 3, 4, there are only 6 colours. There's only 6 colours, so it would be quite straightforward to do a little DMC conversion. And if you're anything like me, you've probably got some threads in your stash that you could use for this. It's quite small, it's 99 wide by 127 high, finishing on, this is based on a 14 count Ada, it will finish at 7 1/8 by 9 1/8 inches. So if you'd like a chance of winning fresh cut, then please use the word fresh in your comment. And the final giveaway pattern is the beautiful Prim Stitch series, and this is part 10 of the 12, and this so far I have to say is one of my favourite blocks with the little kitty cat. And as I've mentioned before, you can stitch these on their own, or you can stitch them as part of the bigger series, as I showed you in my Laurie Holt Stitch Mania section where I shared mine with you. So obviously I'm nowhere near getting to this yet. I am looking forward to it. This is charted for Orifloss and DMC, so again you can mix and match, pull from stash. DMC is quite affordable, so a really good option for you there. And the key word for this is kitty, K-I-T-T-Y, kitty as in kitty cat. So as always, if you would like to enter for any of those giveaways, please be over 18, because I will need to ask you for your actual mailing address to send them the prize to you if you're a winner. Please like and subscribe the video. Subscribe to my channel would be amazing, thank you. And don't use the word giveaway or prize or winner or anything like that in your comment, because it just attracts those nasty trolls who might try and win the prize. and I'd like one of my stitchy friends to get the prize instead. So those are the giveaways. Good luck. Okay, I am up to my Anniversaries of the Heart section, and that pops up every single video, so I'm sure you won't mind seeing it again. But I have got the tiniest little bit of progress on this, and I was in two minds whether to even share it with you, but I thought, well, it wouldn't be the same Flosstube if I didn't share Anniversaries of the Heart. So it's a Blackbird Designs. If you don't know, it's a series of patterns that you can stitch individually. This is the one I'm working on at the moment, which is Pink Hill Manor, and you can also stitch them all together to make a huge sampler of all the different houses, one for each month of the year, and there are a couple of bonus blocks in there as well, so I think it works out to 14 blocks in total. And just in case you aren't familiar, I'm just going to cover this up and show you, if I just cover up the chart, show you how it works. So they give you a layout so that you can do your months along here, January, February, then the bonus, March and April, so on and so forth, and the very last block is a double width bonus block, and that's how I'm choosing to lay mine out. So let me show you what I'm up to. And I said it really is a tiny start, but a start is a start nonetheless. And all I have done is this tiny little piece of border for the April block, which is Pink Hill Manor, and I still haven't done the 1/1 here. I'm kind of making a bit of a big deal out of that, but I will get round to it at some point. I might even leave the 1/1 until the end. It's probably not a good idea because it might put me off completely finishing it. But that is where I'm up to for now. A small start here. The threads I'm using are mostly the cord 4, and these are all the threads for this month's block here. And I've just got a little backup. This is like the support thread here. These are like the back office, if you like, because if you've been stitching this series, or if you've seen lots of people stitching it, you've probably heard them say that because the charts are quite old, I think most of them, I think they're all dated 2012. Let me just check. Oh, this one's actually 2010. Some of the dye lots, especially of the over dyed threads, are quite significantly different than they are in the photographs on the front of the chart. So I've been doing a combination of the cord 4 and then checking out with the pattern, and then dipping into some of the threads that I've used for the previous blocks. So for example, on the vine here at the top, if I was to use the cord 4 that's in the pattern, that would actually be, if I can put my hands on it straight away, that would actually be this colour here, which, as we can see, is this working? Can you see that? Is nowhere near the colour of that vine. So this is Gentle Art's Old Hickory. So what I'm probably going to do from my reserve thread at the back is go for Hickory Sticks, which is classic Colourworks. So I think I'll use that for the vine, because that is actually quite dark there, and I think it needs that contrast with the pink flowers. So that's Pink Hill Manor, and that is Anniversaries of the Heart. And I think I mentioned earlier that I'm going to try and have a couple of focus pieces and try not to just end up with literally just a few dozen stitches on lots of projects. I think I'm going to take Anniversaries of the Heart and Prim Stitch Series and make those my two focus pieces for the next 2 weeks. So I'll just carry on with Anniversaries for the next week and then switch back to Prim and see if I can get some real noticeable progress on those projects to share with you next time. So it'll be interesting to see if that works out for me, because yeah, I do want to get lots of progress on lots of things, but unless I choose to sit up all night, Oh, and I'm not a night owl. I was never a night owl even when I was not at work, but at the moment I get to about 10 o'clock in the evening and that is it, I'm done and I need to go to bed. So yes, so I hope you enjoyed seeing Anniversaries again, and I'm going to move on now to some haul. And again, I didn't think I had much to show you, but it's like stealth, isn't it? Sometimes you order things and forget and then they turn up and you've got more than you thought you had. So let's dive into that now. I'm just going to reach across and grab, just excuse me while I grab my things that I want to share with you. Right, the first thing, and that ties in nicely with my focus pieces, my latest Prim stitch series arrived, and this is one that I actually purchased myself. I signed up for it way back when, I think it was about last June that it started. And this is Gratitude and Grace, and I think this is again so pretty. You've got the pears on the little sort of cake stand platter thing there, and the beautiful blue flowers, super pretty. And every time I get a new pattern for that, it does spur me on to think I must get on with that Prim stitch series. I think it is just one of my favourite things that I've ever stitched, and I can't wait to get it all finally done. So that was a nice surprise in the post, and the same day that that turned up, because I was at work and I speak to Justin most lunchtimes and he always reports on whatever's happened in the morning, and said, oh, 2 things came for you in the post, and I couldn't even remember what the other thing was. He said, it says thread milk on the packaging. And of course I knew straight away what that was. He thought that was a bit of a bizarre thing for a package to say. But, and these are still in the packaging, so they're a little bit crinkly, but these turned up from lovely Laurie at Thread Milk Designs. I ordered them a couple of weeks ago and then promptly forgot, as you do. But look how cute. Let's take them out of the packaging, I can share them properly. And she put the sweetest note in with my order, so thank you if you're watching, Laurie, thank you so much. And I just love these. This is the 9-inch ruler. I wish I could keep that bow on there all the time because that just looks super cute. And this is for when you're putting your DMC skeins or any skeins of thread or floss, and you want to put it on the floss drops. You can wrap your thread around, just keep wrapping around the whole length of the ruler, and then when you cut at one end, just sort of cut, that's designating scissors, just cut there and you've got the perfect length to pop on your floss drops. So I grabbed one of those because I thought it was super pretty. I know you can probably measure it out against other things, but I thought this was just the cutest thing ever. And of course I got some of the thread milk, which again, excuse the crinkling. I'll just take these out, so I haven't actually opened them until today because I wanted to do it while we had our chat. And these are the gorgeous vintage milk bottle tops, and they've been punched so that you can use them as floss drops. So obviously this is on the ring and that's where your floss will go through there. And there's quite a few different designs on here. We've got cream, I'll show you, that one's orange juice, and what else have we got? Maplewood Dairy Farm. See how cute they are. What else have we got? Delicious pasteurised milk, another raw milk, and Nashville Pure Milk Company. I don't know if these are genuine vintage or if they're reproduction and they're just sort of fictional, but either way they are just adorable. I think they are so cute, and it comes with the little floss bling that says thread milk and the little heart. So I think these are just amazing. I'm overused to the word cute, but yeah, cute. So that was a lovely little surprise to come home from work too. And I'll pop the details down underneath here because Laurie's also got a Flosstube channel. I'm not sure how many episodes there have been. I think maybe 1 or 2, But if you haven't, then do give her a watch, and I hope to see a new video from her soon as well. The rest of my sharing of stash is going to be quilty stuff, and again, something that I'd subscribed to and always gives me a pleasant, gives me a pleasant surprise when it turns up, is my Sew by Row Block of the Month Club from Fat Quarter Shop, and it's all Laurie Holt fabric. So this was the month 2 pack, and if you're not familiar, this is the Sew by Row quilt pattern booklet. This came with month 1, but you can buy this separately if you wanted to sew it with your own stash fabrics, and that's how the quilt will look when it's complete. And so those are, these are the fabrics. Gorgeous selection, and they are for the pincushion row. So that's this row here, the little tiny tomato pincushions. So how adorable is that? And this month I've also received the backing fabric. I'm going to take it out of this plastic so you can see. And I think this is from the Granny Chic range by Laurie Holt. And I think most of Laurie Holt's fabrics are still in print because they are so popular. But you can see, is that upside down? Oh, some are upside down and some aren't. It's not one direction. But this is reminiscent of those old blue embroidery transfers that you could get. But so pretty, and I think that's going to make such a lovely backing for that quilt at whatever point in the future that gets done. I think when I have my annual leave from work, I'm going to just lock myself in my sewing room and spend all my time in there catching up with my quilting projects. And an update, if you watched a couple of episodes ago, I told you that my sewing machine, sorry, I'm just scrunching this back into its packaging. My sewing machine had gone off to the sewing machine doctor to be serviced and looked at. It was doing some quite nasty sort of bird nesting underneath. It was skipping stitches. It generally wasn't very happy, and it's back and it is amazing. It's like a new sewing machine. It's sewing beautifully. The stitches are lovely and even. It's purring like a kitten. I'm so happy to have it back. So yes, sewing is back on with a vengeance, and I've got a little bit more news on that in 1 second, but let me quickly show you what else arrived in the post. And it was my Nebula block of the month. Again, I'm ashamed to say I haven't even started on this quilt either, but I figure that fabric doesn't have a sell by date and they can sit there until I'm ready for them. And sometimes if you set your heart on sewing something, my suggestion would be to you, even if you don't have time, just get the kit, get the block of the month, get the fabric, because fabric lines sell out, don't they? I know I mentioned that Laurie's tend to stay in print, but it's not the same for all designers, and you might find out that you just can't get that fabric that you set your heart on. Anyway, I'm waffling. That's the pattern. It's Nebula by Jaybird Quilts, and it's all based on Tula Pink fabrics. And I think this was block 6 fabrics have turned up. So this is the gorgeous print with the scissors and the spool on it. I'll just run through these ever so quickly. This one with all the little swallow, I think they look like swallows and stars. And then this one, which to me looks kind of like a sort of a wood grain or that kind of design. And we've got some really funky stripes. And this one here. I mean, these colours, they really aren't my normal go-to colours, but there's something about Tula Pink's quilt. I'll just run through these final ones. There's a spot and another stripe there. There's something about Tula Pink's quilts and the way that Julie's designed this, I think is just stunning. And I did do some of the Journey to Nebula. They were like tutorial patterns, back at the end of last year I made a table runner and a little Christmas sort of table placemat thing to practice for this, because it used the same techniques that are in the block. So that is Nebula. And yes, I just teased a little bit, didn't I, about sewing machines. If you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen something on my stories yesterday, and I have managed to get a featherweight sewing machine, and I am so, well, I'm beyond excited. And yes, I know everybody, Flosstubers, quilters, everybody seems to be talking about featherweights at the moment, and of course we can take that right back to Miss Laurie Holt and her beautiful featherweights. And I can't resist a good bandwagon. And I saw one on eBay at a reasonable price and looked just what I was looking for. And I did sort of think about it for a bit, and in the end Justin and I sat and he said, why don't you just treat yourself? You've had, you know, you're doing really well with your new job. So apparently the job celebrations are still going on, and we put a bid in and I was successful. So I'm going to pop a little couple of photographs up here just to show you if you didn't see it on my Instagram yesterday. It's a 1851 to 1951 centennial edition with the blue badge. There's a little bit of wear to the decals from what I can see from the photographs, but I'm not too worried about that. The beautiful scroll front in the chrome metal, which I love, and she's been fully rewired and is all good to go. She's even been electrically tested, so I can just get going straight away. So she will be arriving hopefully at some point this week. Now, I'm not normally one to name cars, sewing machines, things like that, but there's something about these featherweights that they just seem to have almost their own personality. So I've already been calling her she, which tells you that I'm kind of thinking about it in a completely different frame of mind. But I have a mind to call my little featherweight Alice when she comes, after my nanny, because she's my first memory of seeing sewing machines and sewing. So I think she's going to be called Alice. And when Alice gets here, I should be giving her a bit of TLC. She's coming from Scotland, which I think is quite interesting. And it's a reason why I like the particular listing that I saw on eBay, because there were lots that looked like people had just bought them and were just trying to flip them around to make a bit of a profit. But this particular one had been loved and used by the owner. She was in Scotland, and from the little bit of information that I know about featherweights, the ones that were made in the UK were actually made in Scotland. So I like to think that she's always stayed in Scotland her whole life, and now she's going to have a whole new adventure with me. And I was doing some research and watching some YouTube videos about how to thread the bobbin and thread the machine and that kind of thing. And it turns out there is a UK distributor for the featherweight shop. So for spares and bits and pieces, we can actually get those here in the UK. So I was just going to ask you guys if you can leave me a comment to let me know if you'd like me to include some, when she arrives, if you'd like me to include that in my next Flosstube, or if you'd like me to do a little separate video all about the featherweight. Let me know what you prefer, because if you're not into it, if you don't find it interesting, I don't want to sort of force it down your throat. But I am so excited about it that I'll definitely be covering it in one way or another. So let me know what your thoughts are. And yes, I will be sharing all about little Alice when she comes down from Scotland to live with me. So while we're on the subject of sewing and quilting, I did a tiny little bit of sewing yesterday. Not very much. I carried on with some of my Tilda string blocks. These were some that I did earlier that have been trimmed down. I'm doing all scrappy, and these ones have yet to even be trimmed. So if actually I thought it's quite interesting, I thought I'd show them anyway. So this is one that I sewed yesterday. So you can see the square on the back, which is the sewing interfacing. And then obviously when they are trimmed down, that's kind of, oh, I had two there, that's kind of what you get. So just so that you can see those. So I'm working away on those. It was nice to give my machine a little spin. It's the first time I'd had a chance to sew on it since it came back from the servicer, and it was just nice little bit of peaceful sewing where I didn't have to think about it. I just got 2 baskets of scraps, 2.5 inch and 1.5 inch strips, and just sat, put some music on and just sewed away for a couple of hours, and it was a really enjoyable way to spend a Saturday afternoon. I'm just going to double check on my little list here, because I feel like I've been chatting for quite a while now, even though I didn't think I had much to share with you this time. Yeah, so just to recap, I'm going to crack on with those focus pieces with Prim Stitch Series and Anniversaries of the Heart. I'd like to get my little stitch cards finished up if I can. I really do need to have a fully finished piece. I think that will make me feel a bit more accomplished. We have got the first part of the Caterpillar cross stitch Hello Sunshine stitch along, and that lands on Friday the 28th of May. There's still time to order a kit if you want, and the discount code that I shared last episode is still valid, I think, until the 27th. I'll put details in the description box below if you've been hanging on and now you feel that you really must get that, and I highly recommend it. And let me know what you want me to do about the featherweight video. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to ask you as well before I go is, do you fancy a whip parade? It's been a little while. I've got quite a lot of whips, and with quite a lot of new subscribers and viewers. Let me know if you'd like a whip parade, and then if there's you know, a weekend when I haven't got that much actual progress to show you, I can do a little whip parade video and we can have a look and see what's been languishing in the sewing room. But I'm definitely going to leave it there for today. Thank you all for joining me. I hope you have a lovely stitchy time until I see you all again, and I will see you then. Take care. Bye.